Jordy Mercer just hit a home run.
Oh my gosh!
Against her righty.
The worst way to open up the show just happened.
God,
he's a righty smasher.
Welcome everybody to the Daily Fantasy MLB show, sponsored by FantasyElite, the app that you can get in the App Store. Mr. Tuttle05 and Davis Maddock will be drafting on the show. Also joining them, Derek Carty. You might recognize him as Derek Carty from Fantasy Insiders. So
he is Derek Carty on Daily Fantasy Sites and Derek Carty on Twitter.
Yes, and
Carty and I have the same brand strategy.
Yeah, boring.
No, Carty's not wearing bucket hats every day.
This hat.
I would say that's different brand strategy.
All right.
I mean, this hat just makes me happy, you guys.
For those of you that do not know, if Tuttle just all of a sudden runs out of the screen, it's because his wife is giving birth to what we can only assume is his second son.
It's probably just gonna be two girls randomly just to troll me. It's gonna be twins, and they're both gonna be girls. Just as an ultimate troll job.
I mean, have you not seen any sonograms or anything, or?
Oh no, we know supposedly know the gender. I mean, nowadays it's 99% accurate, but there are still instances where you get a ultrasound and they diagnose the wrong gender.
I definitely just hope there's a second baby in there that you weren't expecting.
That's a lot less likely because you can hear the heartbeat and there would be two heartbeats. So it's much more likely that it would be a baby of a different gender. With my last kid, with Kai, she looked at the ultrasound and within 2 seconds she's like, "Oh, yep, it's a boy."
Oh, wow.
His wiener was just popping right out.
Oh.
This one was a little harder to diagnose, so we'll see.
Oh.
You're giving the kid an inferiority complex to his brother before he's even born, dude.
Well, Kai takes after his dad. Kian might not. I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, you're not naming him Sproles?
That's his cat's name.
Oh, already off to a banner start. Last night, there was a DKTV show, some industry talk. They announced no kicker. So, I hope this is a trend that we are kind of leaning towards. I hope there's no way that Grant would put a kicker on Elite. There's no way.
Did you see the tweet? He's offering preseason games.
No.
Oh, Grant is awesome, dude. Grant is awesome.
That is amazing.
I'm gonna play preseason DFS.
Yeah, week 3 there will be people playing. I guarantee you.
How degenerate can you get? If you're,
I would have done summer league basketball DFS.
Yeah, it is so smart though. It's because it's during the dog days of summer. There is that's brilliant.
I'm not judging any site that makes it allowable or has the offering. I guess I'm judging the players that actually play that game.
Well, there's people that play daily fantasy PGA. So
yeah, and people who think they're good at it.
Speaking of which, Kyle Cannon, if you're in chat, send me an email or a DM, bro.
Oh, Davis, turn to the side, man.
You guys like this?
That is so nasty. That is so nasty. Oh,
that's what everybody was talking about. I couldn't see it from the angle yesterday.
Hey, dude, I just haven't shaved in a month.
And you just don't grow any on your face, just all.
No, I shave my cheeks and stuff because it feels a bit gross.
Davis, bro,
the cheeks probably growing pretty spotty too. I'm sure.
You have got to do something about that. You have,
yeah, keep growing it out.
Yeah, my girlfriend likes it.
It's all part of his branding strategy. Come on, guys.
No, there's no. Listen, I've read plenty of marketing books. There's nothing about growing pubic hairs on your neck as a marketing strategy.
My girlfriend likes it, dude.
And wearing bucket hats.
Bucket hat is okay. Tie-dye shirt that costs $40. to a
$40. What am I, a homeless person? That was a $70 shirt.
oh my god.
Oh my! I've never spent even $40 on a shirt in my life.
To an industry, a professional industry. Man, Davis's branding, his book, the book that he's reading is way different than what.
Oh, I didn't read any book, dude.
Davis is writing his own book, and it's going to be a bestseller.
It's called How to Get More Twitter Followers Than Soccer Dave. So are we going to talk about baseball or not?
Yeah, no, I would.
I'd rather not with this slate, to be honest.
I would like to. I was going to get the reaction to the roster construction of the DraftKings. Basically, one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, tight end, and a flex, and then a defense. So
that works great for me because wide receivers, I think, are more predictable.
Yeah, and you've got three, and since it's a PPR site, you'll probably be, I mean, for at least for tournaments, you'll be going 4 wide receivers.
I think probably in cash games too, but that's just me.
It just depends. It depends because
it's all about the matchups.
Yeah, but
right?
you do have like pass catching running backs that are much safer than some of these wide receivers that are going to get 2 catches for 30 yards.
Good luck figuring out who those running backs are in all week 1 of the football season.
Well, maybe not week 1, but I mean, I'm just going on my experience there on DraftKings last year. It was
all right,
a lot safer.
Dan, do you have a reaction, Dan?
That's an awesome reaction.
That's my reaction.
Okay, cool, awesome. I mean, Derek is gonna have an opinion about all this stuff in like a month and a half, so that'll be fun.
Well, honestly, I mean, I did a little bit of football last year, and kickers just seem so random, so not having them seems like a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I heard Derek talk about football. He said peeper. He said you want to target the wide receivers that have good peeper. I'm guessing.
Are you making a PPR joke? Okay. All right. Can we talk
I
about?
didn't follow that.
Yeah.
Can we please talk about
pitchers,
baseball?
Please? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So yesterday, Derek and I came on here full of piss and vinegar, full of hubris, and said, "Oh, if you don't play Strasburg, oh, you're just an idiot. You're just a donk." While we completely avoided the fact that Cole Hamels was $100 more expensive on FanDuel and was against the New York Mets. So that was pretty not great of us to do. But basically,
I still think Strasburg
I stick by
the better play. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of shark ownership last night.
Hamels wasn't in consideration for me at all because I thought Strasburg was a better play and Hamels was more expensive, so he was just out. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it didn't work out that way, but I do think, from a process standpoint, that was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I just updated our player blurbs, and on Strasburg's, I just said no one knows how he has gotten to 10K per 9. Like, no one knows where those strikeouts come from. They I just don't.
It wasn't last night.
It was not last night because he only struck out 4 Marlins, which even outside of their best hitters, which are Christian Yelich and Stanton, who both strike out a lot, he only K'd 4 of them in a lineup that had guys like Adini Hechavarria and Jeff. Was it Baker or Mathis who plays for?
I think both were last night.
Both of them, yeah. A pitcher, like, come on, like.
And that's why
it was embarrassing.
And that's why all the non-Sabre guys hate him and don't like to take him because they just see seemingly start after start. And I bet if we looked at it, I bet he gets like worse than league average run support, and his starts would probably be some of it, I would imagine. I would have to look that up.
Yeah, which is surprising. Well, I guess it's recently not getting as much run support is surprising because I think the Nationals lineup, like when everyone's healthy, is pretty good. Despite some people like completely hating Harper and like stuff like that, but I do think they're a good offense.
But let's talk about pitching today. So, I sort of think that you can avoid Felix on both big sites just because that lineup is going to be super left-handed, and it's a super good left-handed lineup. And going against Kluber, his chances of a win, especially on FanDuel where that matters for such an expensive pitcher, are really dramatically lowered. What are your thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, I don't see myself rostering Felix at all tonight. I don't think for his price tag, the matchup's just less than ideal. It's a team that's very capable, and like you said, the run support might not be there as their opposing Kluber. So I just think there are with a lot of aces going tonight. I think there are better options than Felix, especially for the price tag.
I completely agree. I mean, it's kind of the same reasoning I had with Hamels last night, and we saw how well that worked out. But, I mean, Felix is the most expensive pitcher on the board today, and I don't think he's as good a play as some of these other guys who are also, legitimate aces and have better matchups. So I don't see any reason to spend for Felix today.
Yeah, and so I think that if I was taking a pitcher from that game, especially on DraftKings where you need a second guy, I think the guy is Kluber, just because he also has the same problem where he doesn't get to face any righties other than Zunino, but all of those lefties are bad. Whereas the Cleveland lefties are a bunch of really good hitters. So the guy that we need to talk about though is Greinke, because he sort of has arrived as the top option for cash games. Are you on board with that, Derek?
I'm debating between Greinke and Scherzer. Greinke and Scherzer. Scherzer's more expensive, and I may like Greinke a hair more to begin with, but it's really hard. I like Greinke, and I like his matchup, but Atlanta does have some pop in there. There's some guys who could take him deep. Not that the White Sox can't with Scherzer, but I like Scherzer's chance of a win a little bit better, or a lot better, because he's facing Hector Noesi, who is just going to get lit by the Tigers. So it's kind of, I'm going back and forth on it.
Yeah. I just think that Scherzer is sort of in a difficult situation against a lineup that does pack a lot of really good power bats, and he's just sort of been kind of frustrating this year. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to give up some runs, like more than Greinke will. Especially since they have some pretty good lefties in there, or at least lefties with big platoon splits that can do some damage against him, like Dunn and Gillespie and De Aza. And then their righties are still pretty good, like Abreu and whoever. So Scherzer, I don't think is as safe a bet to not give up runs, but I think he's in the conversation because his chances of getting a win are so high.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? Are you? I think it's Greinke. I'm not really considering Scherzer for the relative price tags. Where are you landing on this?
Yeah, I saw you guys talking a bunch in chat earlier, and I just kept up because I usually do that when I have a different opinion than you guys. But
Dan is on Alex Wood tonight.
Yep, I'm on Alex Wood tonight. No, I think I am on Scherzer for cash games on FanDuel. I think he is relative. I mean, I don't want to say safe because I know the chance of him giving up runs probably are.
He strikes out so many batters that he's
exactly. Exactly. He's a safe play because he strikes out so many batters. The White Sox strike out a ton against right-handed pitching, and I think like along the lines with Derek, I think he's got a really good chance at getting the win. So I think I'm paying $1,000 up for Scherzer from Greinke. Although I do like both. I do like Greinke too. And I think some of it might be, we all kind of have little biases here and there. I think I give the Braves lineup a little too much credit, and I'm probably doing that a little tonight too. Well, but with that said, I still think I like Scherzer.
If this informs your decision at all, Jason Hayward's probably going to sit tonight, it looks like. So that's one less lefty for him to have to deal with.
That would definitely be a really big boost for Greinke, I feel like, because it's probably going to be like Schaefer replacing him or someone like that. I don't know. Before you said that, I was thinking maybe Scherzer on FanDuel and then like Greinke Kluber on DraftKings or something like that. But now I don't know. Now I might want more Greinke exposure if there's no Hayward in there.
I will say I think that some people are probably going to look at what Danny Duffy has done this season and say like, oh, he's got this sub-3 ERA. Actually, if he was qualified, if he'd thrown enough innings, he would be number 3 in the American League in ERA. His xFIP is 2 runs higher than his ERA, and basically what's happening is that right-handed batters have a decently high WOBA against him, but runs just aren't coming in. So against this Twins lineup now, I don't know why Sam Fuld is batting second. That is absolutely me. I did not see that until right now, but I think that lineup in the middle of it is super right-handed, and I think that this kind of might be the night that it comes crashing down for Duffy. So if he is someone you're interested in, I would not do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on Duffy tonight. There's not like a good second pitcher on DraftKings who isn't expensive, like a 7K guy or even an 8K guy, really.
Yeah, everyone in chat wants to know about Jesse Hahn. I mean, he's just not sort of the guy that I would consider, but I know that you like him as a pitcher.
I like Hahn as a pitcher. I think his curve is nasty. I like his mix. He's got his 2 fastballs. He's got his curve. Eventually, he's going to work in a changeup that I think could be pretty good. The problem is that his price tag is getting so high. I mean, he's $100 less than Kluber on DraftKings. So, and there is some risk with him just because, he's a relative unknown compared to all these other guys. So I have a hard time paying the same price when I can just get Kluber, who's going to be safer in my cash games. If Hahn was like 7K or 8K, then he's a guy I'm seriously considering as my second. But as it is, I don't know if I am.
Okay. Are you on board with that line of thinking, Dan?
Yeah, I'm completely on board, and I think I'm a little different than you. I think the way to approach DraftKings tonight is to slate in whoever you want as your number one, whether it be Scherzer, Greinke, or whatever. Kluber's your number 2. I think that's the way to approach it. But if you don't want to spend that much on pitching, I do think because all those kind of mid-tier options are horrible, I think Duffy is the top of that group. I mean, I don't like him necessarily as a play.
I saw you making that face when I was talking about him.
I mean, if you're just playing the slate, I mean, you normally not. He's not going to be a guy that you want to roster normally. But with the way this slate breaks down, I mean, what are your options if you want to play a mid-tier guy? You got Brett Anderson, Danny Duffy, and Alex Wood.
Alex Wood, Joe Kelly.
No, it would be Joe Kelly, who just, I mean, he's going to get BABIP, that's going to happen, but he just, everything he throws is designed to get a ground ball. And
he doesn't strike anyone out, though. That's the problem. Yeah. And the Padres aren't necessarily like a big strikeout team.
No. See, I if it's Duffy or Joe Kelly to me, I'd rather have Duffy.
So I think I'd take Joe Kelly before Duffy, but
I would too, because everything Danny Duffy is doing is smoke and mirrors. I mean, he throws 4 pitches, and not one of them is even league average by PitchFX pitch values. And you should hate him, Dan, because you hate the guys whose ERA predictors don't match up with their ERA. Like, he's in the Burley bucket right now. I hope you realize that.
No, I do, and I mean his Bob. He's get 232 average on balls in play. I mean he's certainly due to regress or however you want to term it. But I think playing the slate tonight, I think he's the top mid-tier option. It's not a guy that I would normally find myself taking, but I mean, sometimes we don't have very many choices, and I think he is the top choice. I think he's a better choice than Joe Kelly, personally.
See, I like Duffy's stuff, but he's not doing much with it in terms of strikeouts this year, maybe in an attempt to keep his walk rate down. But he's such an extreme fly ball guy that when he's not striking batters out, he's just not he's a below average pitcher, and I don't think the matchup is, all that good tonight where he's a guy I'm going to risk.
Yeah. I mean, it helps that he's in Kaufman, obviously, with being a fly ball pitcher. It's a home game. Vegas has the line at -156 for Kansas City to take home the win, which is a decent favorite. So I think, again, we should reiterate that we think you should go 2 top-end pitchers. But for those people that don't want to go that route, we're just trying to give you other options here.
Yeah, I do think Alex Wood should seriously be considered, even though it seems like every time you play one of those Braves pitchers, Wood or Minor, whoever, they get lit up. And it's not a great matchup tonight, especially against Greinke. But if you are going that route, I do like him better than like Duffy, and probably better than Joe Kelly.
I would take Duffy just because after looking at this lineup, I mean, they're batting Kurt Suzuki. Like, there are exactly 3 hitters in that lineup that you are worried about doing something with their bat. And they're batting Sam
3, 4, 5.
Yeah. But outside of that, you're not worried about any of those guys, even though they are right-handed.
It's so right-handed, though, and you were talking about how Duffy has platoon issues or whatever,
but Danny,
right? I don't know if that's true, but Okay.
Look in your system. He does. I promise. Danny Duffy was supposed to be, after the Greinke trade, Duffy was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to be.
His stuff is great. He's got the pedigree. It's just he's never been able to control it. And now maybe this year it seems like his walk rate is down, but maybe that's, because he's doing something differently and he's not getting the strikeouts because he's trying to pitch more in the zone or whatever it is.
He's just not very pitch efficient. He's sort of one of those guys, yeah. But we've spent enough time talking about someone that's going to be like 10% owned at the highest.
Not even, yeah.
I don't really think we need to talk about. I mean, maybe you should talk about Alex Wood. I don't know. The reason that I've been able to tell from reading on Fangraphs and stuff is the reason that he's really prone to those blow-up starts is that he has really difficult, hard-to-repeat mechanics. So when he's not on, he's giving away what pitch he's about to throw to the batter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so as a cash game option, he is... I mean, there's variance there, so it's kind of tough to trust him in that situation. Which just brings us back to, I think, the best way to go tonight is just to pay up for pitching and deal with it.
Yeah. And I'm good with Kluber. Like I know that there are a lot of lefties in that lineup, but like we're talking about James Jones, Endy Chavez lefties, not Jason Kipnis and Lonnie Chisenhall lefties. There's a big difference there.
Yeah, it'd be nicer if they had some of their softer righties in there, like Romero or Hart or whoever. But still, it's not that imposing of a lineup.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on and talk about hitters then, because I don't actually think that there's one team tonight outside of the Yankees that you're really trying to stack. So lineups will be sort of interesting tonight. Who's the first team you're looking at for batters, Dan?
Red Sox. Come on.
Yeah.
You know who's pitching tonight.
Uh-huh.
You always have to target Mark Burley. No, I think the game you want to target is probably the game in Texas. But if you want an alternative option, I think Boston provides you some solid bats. I like for their prices. I think Pedroia's price has fallen significantly. I like him at a generally barren spot. And then another guy I like his price is Shane Victorino in the outfield against Burley because he's coming off the deal. Well, yeah, but you have the probability or possibility that he'll get pinch hit for late in the game. So I'd much rather, I think, spend money on Victorino than take a gamble on Gomes that he produces before he gets pinch hit for.
Nava will come in and hit that pinch hit dime for him, fulfilling the destiny of the Daily Diamond.
Yeah, I had to do for those that did because it's not in the Daily Diamond, but Dave is trying to write up Daniel Nava, even though there's a left-hander going tonight. So I had to delete him from the Daily Diamond.
What happened is that I just was up too late, and I just got the two confused. They're the same player.
And you saw Mark Burley, and you're
eyes just lit up.
Yeah, they're nowhere near the same player.
Against lefty-righty, like they function the exact same in that offense. Which one's better?
They're platoon players. Gomes is a power hitter.
He's like a huge power guy. Nava hasn't hit a home run in 3 months.
Yeah, Gomes is pretty much purely power.
They're the same player for DFS.
No.
Nope.
You lost. Don't go. It's not.
David, you were tired. We give you a pass, but don't exacerbate this.
You're just making it worse.
I hate you guys. I really do. Okay. I mean, obviously the team. I'm going back to the Yankees. Well, I know that it was sort of like a little frustrating last night, like with McCann or whatnot. But they're actually just saying, McCann, we're not even going to give you the opportunity to screw people over today. They're just putting in.
Yesterday, even against Martinez, he didn't profile well against him.
I played Jaso, who was meh at best. So.
Yeah, I played Mesoraco, who didn't do a whole lot, but then today he donged, so he made up for it.
The one big thing that McCann sitting does is it moves Headley up into a better RBI spot. I know 6 still isn't as good, but it is better than 7. So
better than 7th, but marginally, like 5th is really where you want to be, 5th or higher.
I was really hoping Jeter got the day off too.
I was hoping Beltran got the day off, but that did not happen.
Jeter just screws it all up. Without Jeter, Headley is in a nice spot. Headley should be ahead of Beltran anyway. I don't know. The Yankees lineup's just so inefficient.
Long live the Yankees. Okay, let's start talking about positional values. At catcher, I mean, I'm just like anytime Willen Rosario is against a lefty, like that's an auto play for me. I would do it in Petco, honestly. And I think that Dan is sort of more aligned with that thinking of me with Willen versus lefties than Derek is. Is Willen sort of the top guy for you today or no, Derek?
Well, Mezzo was definitely my top guy. I had him well above everyone else in the day slate. But I think looking tonight, Rosario is probably going to be my top guy. Travis Wood, Drew Dinkmeyer is shaking his head somewhere, but Travis Wood's not a good pitcher, guys. And Rosario does have the platoon. And even though I think his platoon split is exaggerated based on actual raw numbers, he still, is going to hit lefties better than he hits righties. So I like him today. It's in a pretty good park. Bad pitcher. I like Rosario.
Dan, is Willen your guy for the night slate?
Yeah, I think he's easily the top option. If you're looking, kind of the next tier would be either Navarro or Perez, basically just based on batting order. Neither have a tremendous matchup, but I think those would be the kind of the next step down. And if you're basically looking to just completely punt the position, the next two guys for me would be Avila and Aaron Sebia.
I think Wellington Castillo would be in that tier too.
Yes, that's probably a good call. And we have a question for V-Mart. I mean, you can assume he's a good play always. We never really talk him in because
as a
he's
catcher,
really only...
yeah. On FanDuel where he's a catcher, yeah, he's a really good play.
Yeah. I also wrote up Mesoraco sort of as the top option just against left-handed pitching. But yeah, there you go, David. But I'm just playing Willen tonight, and what I did in the Daily Diamond was I looked at his plate appearances against left-handed pitching outside of Coors, and yeah, he's 100 points worse in weighted on-base average against left-handed pitching, not in Coors, but it's still at like 350. So that's still like a really good hitter for the catcher position. So I think that, especially on FanDuel where he's like 3,000, like I think it's sort of silly not to play him. But I do like the Avila punt though, as one of the only left-handed left-handed options in that Tigers lineup versus Noesi.
Yeah, I think Rosario is definitely the top guy. I think Navarro is a pretty good play too, especially what does he cost? He's pretty cheap. He's probably even cheaper, isn't he?
Let's see.
I haven't looked at anyone's price.
3,900 on DraftKings.
Yeah, and 32 on FanDuel. So yeah, Rosario definitely is going to be your guy.
Yeah. V-Mart also, yeah, pretty good play. More expensive than Willen almost everywhere, but definitely Victor Martinez is almost always a good play, and if you can afford him, you should. He's sort of, but it's just hard to justify spending at catcher when honestly a lot of teams platoon their catchers. So it's almost easy to find a really cheap guy in that situation. Okay, let's move on though. Let's talk about middle infield. So one of the guys that I think a lot of people are going to be on after him doing very well yesterday at second base is Emilio Bonifacio. But I actually think that given the trade deadline and the fact that there's been a bunch of rumors about him getting moved so that Alcantara and Starlin can continue to play the middle infield, I don't know if he's safe to roster just like in this certain period, basically.
I agree with you there, and especially with a lefty on the mound where a lot of his value comes from speed, like he's going to have a harder time stealing bases anyway, so I think...
Well, he's got power. He had a home run last night.
Yeah, he's power, okay.
I actually, when I went to go, I wrote Bonifacio up for the Daily Diamond, I believe. Either that or I looked at his Fangraphs page and was sort of surprised by like how not good he is. But
yeah, he's not good.
Yeah, leading off against Brett Anderson, who is probably a better pitcher than we think he is, but with all of his injuries and the way his mechanics have sort of had to shift as a result of them, I don't think he's a super good pitcher. And I expect the Cubs to score some runs tonight, so leading off, he would be an okay option. But given the trade difficulties, I think I would rather just take Double-A instead, even though he's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, even though he's more expensive, if you're going with a Cub second baseman, I think Alcantara is the way to go.
Yeah, and I'm seeing on Twitter that Cubs beat writers saying that a Cub lineup's not out, but a source is telling him that Bonifacio is not in the lineup.
There we go.
So there you go. Just fade him entirely then. I think that if you maybe are going a little bit cheaper elsewhere on pitching and you really want to get a second baseman in, I think that Dustin Pedroia is probably the way to do it against Burley. He's batting third. lineup should definitely score some runs. I think he's in a really good spot tonight. Or if you really want to spend, Dozier against Danny Duffy is what I would do.
Yeah, Dozier's my top guy, but Pedroia is sufficiently cheap enough and close enough where he's a good play. And then I think if you're punting outright, I think... Oh, he's batting 8th tonight? That sucks. Oh, no, he's not. Okay. He's batting 2nd still. Omar Infante and Ryan Goins, who is batting 8th. I think they're both cheap plays that you can plug in there if you're looking to save some cash.
Yeah, also Kawasaki is second base eligible on DraftKings and Draft Day, I believe.
Yeah, Kawasaki's a solid punt, too.
Yeah.
Nori Kawasaki.
Yeah, he's basically the same. Yeah, he's in like the same position as Going, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little different than you guys. I'd rather have Kinsler over Dozier even without the platoon advantage. Better park, and I think it's a lineup that's going to score more runs. So I think those two are pretty similarly priced. I think exact same price on DraftKings, and Kinsler's 100 cheaper on FanDuel. I'd much rather have Kinsler than Dozier personally.
Yeah, I think they're close-ish, but I think that's some of the Duffy bias talking with Dan. I think Dozier's the better player, or the better play.
Yeah. Also, I mean, yeah, the platoon advantage is just one factor, but I think I would sort of use it as a tiebreaker a lot of the time. If you're looking at two comparable options, like that.
Well, I'd rather have a guy that's batting in an offense that's going to put up runs. I mean, I guess you think the Twins are. Vegas doesn't think the Twins are. So you can pick which side you want there. But I mean,
Vegas,
basically, I want a side that's going to put up runs and it's going up against what is the worst pitcher, platoon advantage or not.
I'd rather play Pedroia than both of them, TBH.
Yeah, I think on FanDuel, I think Pedroia is the better option than both because of the price. But I'm just saying if it's between the two, I think for me, I mean, obviously I'm different than you guys, but I'd rather play the guy in the better park as well as in a lineup that's going to put up runs.
That is another thing, is that Kaufman really does suppress home runs. So that actually is a pretty valid point, Dan.
But he plays in target all the time, so it's not like his numbers are like inflated by that. It's not like he's coming from a hitter's park.
Well, the problem is that his swing is all messed up from participating in the home run derby. That's like the biggest problem that we have.
That's definitely it.
Yeah.
I know Derek's on board with that too.
He totally
Absolutely not. I've been railing against anyone who says that for the past 7 years.
All right.
It's so ridiculous.
So where I'm going at shortstop, I actually expect it to be different than both of you. I think I'm just sort of hands down using Xander Bogaerts, especially on FanDuel where he is 2.3. Just allows you to roster all of the outfielders that you want, basically. But I assume that both of you are off of him. So who are you looking sort of as your number one shortstop option, Dan?
I think for price for me tonight, again, this is price sensitive. I don't think he's necessarily the top overall play, but I think for me it's actually Elvis Andrus because he's $2,400 on FanDuel, which is just ridiculous. I think that's the game you're going to want to target. I think it's going to have the most runs in it. We've talked about it before, but Andrews really is pretty much a neutral splits hitter. He doesn't have a huge platoon gap. So when that's the instance, you almost want him against right-handed pitching because he then has the stolen base potential. So I think based on price, I think he's the top overall play.
I missed that price.
Yeah, so. I like him for that price. He does have a cold flag for what it's worth. I don't know if there's anything going on with him. But for that price, I do think the matchup is good. It's a righty on the mound, so even though he doesn't have the platoon, if he gets on base, it's going to be easier to steal. So I think him or Bogaerts are both really good plays tonight for their price.
Is Francisco Cervelli a good defensive catcher?
I don't think so. Not particularly. Let me look.
You would have to think it's an advantage to the Texas batters that McCann is not catching today.
Oh.
Because McCann is a great defensive catcher.
McCann, yeah, is great. Let me check out Cervelli because that would make a difference.
Yeah, honestly, I truly did not notice that price tag for Andrews.
Actually, Cervelli's really good too, so not going to make much of a difference.
All right.
Yeah, because that's what is. He's not much of a hitter. He's more defensive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually upset that. I'm upset that Tex is back because I loved targeting left-handed hitters when McCann was playing first base because he just has no range at all. I watched a few of the games, and I mean, easy outs were going for singles, doubles because he just has no range. So
Teixeira's 45 years old. There's no way he has that much range either.
It's a significant difference for a guy that's played there.
Yeah, and he was like an elite defender, like back in his prime. It's not like he's like just completely fallen off.
Like Eric Hosmer level elite, or just like a little bit below that.
I'm gonna ignore that comment. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say that Jose Reyes is my top guy tonight. If I'm spending, if I have the money to spend.
And I think it's Hanram. If you're spending,
I know. I don't know. Alex Wood isn't a bad pitcher.
No, he's not a bad pitcher. But if we're just looking at a guy, I mean, it's not like Hanley's a bad hitter either. He's a really good hitter. And the lineup surrounding him, like the Jays are going to score some runs tonight, but that's also like a beat up Jays lineup that doesn't have some of their usual contributors, notably Edwin Encarnacion, although they did get Rasmus back. But I just think that if it's a situation where his mechanics are off, mistake pitches normally lead to home runs, right? Like that more or not, that's generally true. And Hanley has sick power for a shortstop. So that's sort of the direction that I'm leaning. I don't know if that's good analysis or not.
I mean, I think he's a good play too, but I don't know if I'm going to pay what it costs to get him.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that why do they bat Juan Francisco ahead of Colby Rasmus? I don't understand that.
By the way, how about Juan Francisco on Fantasy Elite for like $5,000? He was barely above minimum price. I drafted him against Davis before the show. Can pretty much guarantee the win for me.
I have more Yankees than you, though, and the Yankees are going to score a ton of runs.
I stacked against Burley, though, so...
Oh, well, then you might be victorious. Okay, let's move on, though. Let's talk about the corner spots. First base for me is the same as it was yesterday. I gave all of this analysis with Tex versus right-handed pitching yesterday. Quick summary, he hits right-handed pitching really well. So, who else do you guys like at first base?
Cabrera's got to be your top guy against Noesi. I don't think you're going to be spending for him, especially if you're spending heavily on pitching today.
Yeah, it's hard to make the dollars work.
Yeah, so I think Teixeira is going to be definitely a guy who's going to wind up in at least some of my lineups because he is one of the top plays today against Colby Lewis in Arlington. And because he's so price efficient.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
Let me just check here.
I think Napoli, too, is pretty reasonably priced. And he's, I think at that level with Teixeira, like as one of the top guys tonight, even though, just based on matchup, even though they're not necessarily top guys skills-wise.
Yeah,
I completely agree with you guys. Too. Yeah, Tex is crazy on FanDuel. He's 3,100. I think he's easily the play there. I was just going to say, check out... I'm trying to look at Colby Lewis's game logs and see... I mean, he's not a good pitcher, let's be honest, especially against left-handed batters. But if you look at some of his peripheral statistics, man, I mean, his batting average on balls in play is at 399. So, I mean, that certainly has to do with some of the...
Regression is 100% coming in a positive way. Like, I noted in the text blurb that his ERA is 2 runs higher than his fielding independent pitching. His fielding independent pitching is still 4.8. So
yeah, he's still not good.
Yeah.
Which I think is the big takeaway.
It was that big Angel start is what did it to all. Like, he had a 13 earned run outing where the manager just said, like, whatever, dude, sorry, get the outs. So that's why
his last 5 starts, he's had that horrible game where he allowed 11 earned runs. And then other than that, he hasn't allowed more than 3. So I think it's tough because I think that is the game you want to target and you want appropriate Yankees exposure. So I'm not necessarily saying shy away from it, especially with what Texas price is on FanDuel. I think you have to play him. But I guess that's my way out if the Yankees end up doing horribly.
Well, it's always good to have a way out.
And I think, especially on on DraftKings, I think V-Mart is a very viable option, even at first base in this matchup. I think his
no
price is
problem with
reasonable
that.
enough, and I think their scoring system lends itself a little bit better to his skill set.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that analysis.
Cubs or Rockies lineup is out. I'm putting it in now, and we do have LeMahieu's batting second, so there's another second base option for you.
That's definitely going to be a second base option then.
I forget what his price is across the industry, but I know he's significantly cheaper.
Well,
he's $2,400 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I was working on my DraftKings lineup, and he is 3.7, and he just fit perfectly into the slot that I was trying to fill. So that was pretty nice.
And Stubbs is batting fifth.
Thumbs up.
Fun.
Okay, so let's talk about third base then, because I think there's sort of a conversation to have here about Adrian Beltre versus a right-handed pitcher, and I'm sort of curious as to Derek's take on Hiroki Kuroda tonight in the hot Texas weather.
I have no problem playing Rangers against him tonight just because all the contextual factors are really working for them. And Kuroda, even though he posted like 3.20 ERAs with the Yankees his first couple years, his peripherals never supported it. He was never that kind of pitcher with Los Angeles. So in the AL and in Yankee Stadium, you expect him to be much more of like a 3.8, 3.9 ERA kind of guy, and that's what he's been this year. So when you put that kind of guy in Arlington, with a lot of guys who, are pretty good hitters and some who are going to have the platoon against him, I think it's fine to play Texas bats against Kuroda, even though he kind of has a reputation as like a good pitcher. He's really, a little bit above average at best.
Yeah. I really like Beltre. I think it's hard to find the room for him, although he is cheaper than like his average price tag on both FanDuel and DraftKings, I noticed. I think he's probably the top option, but with the way it makes more sense to spend on Yankees outfielders, I don't know if you can make it work. What do you think about him, Dan?
Well, I think it's your Mike Trout $4,000 for $4,800 price tag. I mean, that's what you're getting with Beltre today. As far as once he crosses that $4,000 threshold, in my opinion, he becomes pretty close to a must play on FanDuel. So
would you call it a pricing error, Dan?
I would not call it a pricing error.
I'm really mad at Dan because one of my lineups last night scored 44 points on FanDuel, and it was pretty solid, cashed all the double ups, won some 3-mans. But about 15 minutes before lock, Dan started like teasing me or made the pricing error joke, and I was like, "Well, God, I guess I have to play him now," like just because Dan was needling me. And the lineup that I had Trout in scored like 28 points and did not cash anything.
You had to take advantage of that 4% price decrease. It had to be done.
So
being stubborn and trying to prove a point to Dan cost me some dollars, which is frustrating.
I think with this Rockies lineup out, Arenado's batting third, which is definitely going to push him towards the head of the class against Wood. And he's relatively cheap. It looks like he's $3,200 on FanDuel, and he is loading. I don't know what he is on DraftKings. It's taking forever.
45.
45?
Yep.
Okay. But 32 on FanDuel is really cheap for a guy of his caliber, I think.
Yeah, he's 45 on DraftKings. Beltre is 47. Take Beltre if it's between the two, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my decision sort of on FanDuel at this point is fading like Justin Urgiano or one of those outfielders to get Beltre in, or playing Chase Headley batting 6th. And the fact that he's batting 6th and not 7th, I know that it's super marginal, but I mean, I just like it more than him batting 7th yesterday, and I played him yesterday. What do you guys think about Headley? Dan, you first.
I think he's a decent option, especially for his price. It looks like DraftKings, I'm not playing him because he's priced right around that same range as Arenado and Beltre. He's $4,500 there, so there's no reason I think you play him at that price. $2,900 on FanDuel, I think he becomes a choice, or an option, I should say. Especially if you're, I like it if you want to team him up with Tex on FanDuel. I like pairing those two together, especially because of their prices. But I don't think he's an option on DraftKings.
completely agree with that line of reasoning. He's too similarly priced to some of these other guys on DraftKings. On FanDuel, where he's cheaper, I can see it, but I don't know. There's guys I prefer. I prefer Beltre. I prefer Arenado. And if I'm going cheap, I even think Juan Francisco is a good play tonight.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I would much rather play Headley than Francisco, but like I won't say that's a bad play. Is Workman a good pitcher? Like, I don't even know.
He's not like awful. He's not like Johan Flande bad. But he's not a good pitcher either. He's below average.
Oh, no Rosario gives me just infinite sadness.
Oh, damn, yeah.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Yep, so you said it. That's annoying.
That is, what do I even do? Who do we take at catcher? I guess I'll just take Avila.
We don't have a Cubs lineup yet either, but if you want to go really cheap, like Mike Olt, depending where he's batting, I mean, he'll probably be like 7th or whatever.
He's in the minors, dude.
Is he? When did this happen?
When Bonifacio got activated.
Oh, okay.
Bonifacio.
On Tuesday I ranked him, and then I went to go put him in a lineup the next day, and I clicked on his FanDuel player page and saw that the most recent thing was Mike Old is back in the minors, working on his plate discipline. So I was like, well, all right, man. Yeah. Okay, can we talk about catchers again? Who should I play? Everyone in chat, tell me. Everyone in chat. I didn't even look at price tags for other guys. I don't even know. So everyone in chat, tell me your favorite catcher while we talk about outfielders. So
catcher just got really ugly. I think maybe Navarro is the way I'm going to be looking, or Sal Perez.
I'm playing Christian Vasquez, bro. It's happening.
I played him again. I played him against you in Elite. He's hanging dong for sure.
5 sure even.
I think the guy Derek mentioned, especially depending on the lineup, how it comes out for the Cubs, I think Castillo's in play.
Yeah, Castillo's definitely in play now, especially if he's batting like 6th even.
Dude, Aaron Sebia is definitely like triple donging tonight. Like
CP.
That's gonna happen. Yeah.
Well, he hit his home runs for the next 2 months last night, so I think he's probably actually not going to get another hit for a while.
Quite a while. So last night, Brett Gardner hit another home run, which gives him 3 home runs in 2 days. This is coming from someone with a career ISO of 122, which is not league average, which is lower than league average. Whereas Jacoby Ellsbury gave you like 1.75 FanDuel points, and he has a career ISO of 155.155, which is above league average. So please tell me tonight that Ellsbury is going to be the one who starts hitting dongs, and that Gardner is going to be like stealing bases and doing Brent Gardner stuff. Tell me that that's going to happen.
That's going to happen. I mean, if you're going to pick one to hit a dong, it's not going to be Gardner. Like, I don't know what he's doing, how this is happening, but I mean, he's not a home run hitter.
I bet Tommy thinks he's doing steroids.
He's definitely doing steroids. Yep.
Yeah. If you had to choose,
I would choose Chew.
Yeah, if you had to choose one of those two, which one would you choose, Daniel?
It's Ellsbury. I mean, he's the better player, and
Yep,
I mean he is.
And their dollars are on DK. I think Gardner's actually more expensive after last night. So
Yeah.
It's a real choice.
That's ridiculous. You go Ellsbury.
Outside of those guys, I mean, I'm sort of needing cheap options because I think I'm actually rostering both of them, and I need to make something happen at catcher now. So who's a cheap outfielder that you like, Dan? Jim Adducci?
I don't mind him.
Adducci's a great, especially on DraftKings. He's still so cheap. I mean, Adducci's got to be in play tonight. He's batting 5th again. Got the platoon advantage in Arlington. Adducci's like almost just like a must-play on nights like this on DraftKings.
Yeah.
2 guys that I have in my FanDuel lineup. I mean, they're not dirt cheap. They're kind of lower-end options, though, would be Josh Hamilton and Shane Victorino are both 3,000. So I think for their dollars, they're very good options.
Yeah. I wish Yan Gomes was against a bad pitcher tonight. He would seem fun to run. I'm so lost, guys. My lineups are terrible now. I will say Cole Calhoun is finally back to reasonable prices almost everywhere, which is awesome because Cole Calhoun is awesome.
Yeah, it's not as good of a matchup as last night. Gossman is a pretty good pitcher, and he has that like dominating upside. But the park swing is still really good. He's going to have the platoon. He's going to be leading off. So Calhoun's a really good play tonight.
Yeah. Also, your boy Justin Ruggiano against Brett Anderson, lefty. The lineup's not out
Ruggiano. Yet. Yeah, but he's.
Dude, I'm entering the lineup. He's not.
What?
This lineup, if it's accurate that I'm entering, seriously makes Brett Anderson a consideration tonight as your second cash game option.
Who is batting fourth? Is it Ryan Sweeney?
Let me go through the lineup. Okay, we got Double A.
This makes me really upset.
Double A is batting first.
Upset.
Coughlin batting second. Rizzo third. Castro fourth. Valbuena fifth. Lake sixth. Sweeney seventh. Baker eighth. And Wood.
Let's just stack the lefties against Anderson.
Yep. So you got 4 lefties in there. I really think Brett Anderson has become a viable second pitcher on DraftKings with this lineup.
Get out of here! No,
it's not. It's just frustrating. Players you want to actually stack against him or play against him aren't in there or aren't in good position.
You're
not playing Brett Anderson tonight. Ignored that man.
No, he is. He is the top mid-tier option now. You're still going Scherzer and Kluber, but he is a better option, and I'd put money on this.
Maybe better than Duffy, but
I would take Anderson over Wood and Duffy. Wood doesn't have a chance at the win tonight. He just doesn't.
You can't say he doesn't have a chance at the win. Wins are so fickle. I mean, get out. No.
I'll bet millions of dollars on it.
You'll bet millions of dollars that Brett Anderson is going to outperform Alex Wood tonight.
Millions of dollars.
Dan, I wish I had the bankroll of you.
Well, Alex Wood is terrible. Alex Wood is seriously one of the worst pitchers in baseball. So I don't hate that at all. TBH.
Yes, I got.
Let's guarantee some dongs, fellas. I mean, here's the thing. Real quick before we do that. The thing about Anderson is that he's a good pitcher, but he's been hurt so much that we really don't have any idea what his skills are like because all of his starts have been so interrupted for the last 3 seasons. So Dan could be right, or he could just be horrifically wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Those are both options.
The Cubs have some pretty good hitters. It's not a good park. I don't know. I don't see it. I want to, just because I want to be spiteful towards Dan, I want to mention Josh Willingham as an outfielder against Duffy tonight.
Well, I don't like Duffy anymore.
He's actually starting to show a little bit of power, Willingham. He's hit a couple home runs over the past week or so. So Willingham is a guy that I'm willing to roster again now.
No,
well, that's not an option. You have to roster Chris Coughlin tonight just to spite me. I mean, that's how it goes.
That's a Davis move. Davis would go on tilt about this, and he would roster Chris Coughlin if he was as worked up about this as I am right now.
I would.
Coughlin and Sweeney, you guys gotta put them in your lineups.
Yeah. You guys are the worst. I'm just gonna play Victor Martinez on FanDuel. I've decided, for everyone keeping track at home. So guaranteed dong time. Dan, you first.
Guaranteed. I'm gonna go.
Brett Anderson as a pitcher.
Yeah, Brett Anderson. No, Josh Hamilton's my guaranteed dong.
Who's your under the radar?
I'm gonna go Pedroia.
Very nice. Derek?
Obvious guy. I would say Trout, but it's not like you're going to play him tonight anyway. No one's going to have the money for it. So let's say Calhoun is my obvious. And then my under the radar, does Teixeira count?
I was going to do him as my obvious.
Yeah, that's
so.
All right. Well, I'll go under the radar. How's this for under the radar? Oh, we don't.
Brendan
Chris
Ryan.
Coughlin.
I don't have a lineup yet, though. He's probably not going to play. I was going to say Scott Van Slyke, but
no, Scott Van Slyke will play.
You think so?
Yeah.
Dude, no, their outfield rotation is all sorts of effed up now that everyone's healthy. Van Slyke is anything but guaranteed to play.
If he doesn't play, how about Ruggiano would be another great one, but Willingham. There we go.
All right. My obvious, I'll pivot to Chase Headley. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling it obvious. And my under the radar, I'll say Johnny Gomes.
Are you sure you don't want Daniel Nava?
I'm sorry.
Can pinch hit in the
I mean, they're the same. They're basically the same players, so you might as well just take Daniel Nava.
For our purposes, they are the same player. You guys did not do a good job.
No, they're not. They're nowhere near the same player. There's literally zero similarities aside from that they both wear red.
And they're cheap. And they're cheap on FanDuel, and you only play them when they have a platoon against a crappy pitcher.
And one has home run.
Nava's a switch hitter.
I don't care. He's bad against lefties.
Yeah, for actually real life purposes now, he's not really even a switch hitter because he doesn't ever get to hit against left-handed pitching.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna regret this. I'm just gonna regret, I think, going back to the Yankees. Well, I think I got kind of lucky last night with the 12 runs because a lot of it came against the bullpen. Martinez was actually pretty solid for a couple innings. Colby Lewis has a track record of at least being a passable major league pitcher, so I think I might regret that. What about you, Derek? What are you gonna? You're gonna regret not using Brett Anderson as your second pitcher.
It is.
I am. I mean, Tuttle is so intent about this right now. If I don't use him, I'm gonna go so hard on tilt. I think if I can't find a way to make Scherzer work in my lineups, I'm gonna regret not having Scherzer.
Dan?
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm gonna regret fading whatever ace starting pitcher I fade. I'm leaning that I'm playing Scherzer, but if I don't, or if I do, then I'm gonna regret fading Greinke. If I play Greinke, I'm gonna regret fading Scherzer.
Yeah. By the way, Derek not catching doll hairs is the most Derek thing of all time.
Wait, what?
He said doll hairs, not dollars, which is classic. You just like being Derek Hardy and not noticing.
I said doll hairs?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I wish I had $1 million. Maybe in 2 weeks I'll have $1 million. But for now, Doll Harris is gonna have to do.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'm not gonna regret anything because my lineups are swag tonight. So that's what I'm going with. Take it away, Kitch.
All right. Take it away. Taking it.
Can you vibe with that or not?
I can. No, listen. If anyone can vibe with that, it is me. I am the king viber of Fantasy Insiders Daily Fantasy MLB Show, sponsored by FantasyElite, the app that you can get in the App Store. Have you guys drafted online yet? Because it's pretty cool. Have you used it? Have you got your password, Davis? I bet you have, because you're always responsible like that.
Did you see the actual pricing error they had? It was more of a display error, I guess, was the response. But Corey Dickerson was priced at $95,000.
That is a little ridiculous.
That was awesome.
That was pretty cool.
You couldn't draft him, to be honest. That
wouldn't let you
Davis,
draft him.
that is a pricing mistake. That that actually is legit.
They know something we don't.
Corey Dickerson, quadruple dong.
Yup, pinch hit, quadruple dong. It's gonna happen.
Oh, these lineups tonight are so just...
Steve is posting screenshots like he doesn't know that we're on a show right now.
No, he's actually watching though right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Like, is he really watching though? Steve, if you're watching, type something.
Yeah.
There.
See?
Oh, he is. I just thought he came in because he heard, like, he has a radar that whenever Alex Wood's name is spoken, like, he has to come in.
That's it. He wrote code to pop up anything that says Alex Wood, just to see what it's saying.
His Wood dar. Well, that will do it for today's Daily Fantasy MLB Show, sponsored by FantasyElite. Join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, when we talk about all the good choices that we made tonight. I will say it's a little haunting because our buddy in the chat, he's actually a Nashville guy, W.H. Chandler. His last comment of, like, this was the last comment in the chat was
Hamels greater than Strauss.
Greater than Strauss. It was like a haunting comment in the chat. So
it lingered overnight.
I remembered it last night, and I kept on remembering it, and then I logged in today. I was like, oh, like the pain was still there. So if you have any bold predictions, just type them in there, and we'll either wince tomorrow or laugh at you.
Do you guys remember that guy in chat? And this was right when the season first started, because this guy's not even in the rotation anymore. Was telling me how Joe Pelfrey, is that his name?
Mike
Pelfrey.
How Mike Pelfrey was going to have like 7 scoreless innings against some team. And he obviously got beat up for like 8 earned runs because he's Mike Pelfrey.
Mike Pelfrey's awesome.
That was the one story I remember about chat.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was that bad. I just went to his Fangraphs page. 7.99 ERA.
Yeah, and someone was telling me like, dude, you're gonna regret fading him in FanDuel Cash.
Davis, you'll learn that people just troll you just to get a reaction.
No, this dude was serious about it because he was arguing with Tommy G about how the Mets never should have let him go.
Cool. Swag. All right, guys, well, that will do it for today's show. Tuttle, make that baby pop, dog. Make that baby pop out. Well, that's what you did to get the baby in there.
That's the way we're gonna start it and the way we're gonna end it.
Oh, yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. So yeah, get in there, poke around with your lineups, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.